Imagine growing up in Eastern Europe in the early 2000s and asking your mom to buy you one of the most iconic shooters of all time, Return to Castle Wolfenstein. You know, an exciting story, creepy atmosphere, enemies we've never seen before, basically all the good stuff. So you do what you have to do. Look deep into her eyes and say, "It only costs $45. And she just bursts out laughing. No way. But you know, she's still your mom and she wants to be nice. So when you get home from school, she smiles and says, "I know how much you wanted that game, son. So look, I got you this." Mortyr? What? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the Polish Wolfenstein. Or as I like to call it, we have Wolfenstein at home. This game has random cat sounds, the shiniest floors you've ever seen in a video game, the goofiest voice acting imaginable.
Now that's a big statue.
And of course, this guy. But hey, let's start from the beginning. Look, I grew up in Eastern Europe, which means I played some of the most low-budget, clunky, and straight-up awful games ever made. You know, money was tight, so we had to improvise. And let's be honest, asking your parents to buy you a $40 game almost never worked. Of course, some kids went down the shady path and chose piracy. But since I had a shitty connection, that didn't work. So my only real option was cheap games. Most of them were rushed, half-finished, or just made to turn a quick profit. And now that I've grown up, I started revisiting these games. Don't ask me why. For some reason, I find comfort in these low-quality textures, goofy characters, and that minimalistic, awkward atmosphere. Or maybe I just like torturing myself. That's also possible. Now, I even have a proper term for these games. I call them janks. There is Eurojank, Slavjank, and yes, even Amerijank. Don't even try to deny it. You know it, I know it. Postal is a jank. And I've realized these games are like an iceberg. Some of them are near the top, the classics, like You Are Empty. But deeper down, you will find strange, forgotten ones, like this. This. Or even this. So I started a series diving deeper and deeper into that iceberg. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, make sure to check them out later. The funny thing is, janks are not always bad. Some of them are actually great. They just share that weird, clunky charm that's hard to explain. So if I call your favorite game a jank, don't take it personally. I'm looking at you, Gothic fans. Anyway, as I said, Mortyr is a product of our Polish friends, and they came up with this brilliant game back in 1999. So even though I called it a Wolfenstein clone, they somehow released it before Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Yeah, so maybe that game was actually a Mortyr clone. I will let you decide on that one. The game was developed by Mirage Media, a company that also worked as a publisher, and they released quite a lot of games across Poland and other parts of Europe.
Impressive. Very nice.
After changing their name to Mirage Interactive in 2001, they went on to make some of the most iconic janks out there, like Sniper, Path of Vengeance, Requiem, Avenging Angel, or Jak Rozpętałem 2. Nah, I'm just kidding, I've never heard about that one. But hey, let's leave those games for another video. According to some Reddit users, people in Poland were actually hyped for Mortyr. They thought it would actually become the next Wolfenstein. It's funny because the American publisher Interactive Magic actually bet a lot of money on the project. They ran a huge promotional campaign and even called it the likely successor to the widely popular Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein. Okay, I like that confidence, I guess. For us, Hungarians, Mortyr was kind of a legend too, because one of the biggest Hungarian YouTubers, this guy, made a video about it like 18 years ago. God damn, I'm old. Of course, he called it the worst game ever made. And yeah, we watched that video over and over again. You know, the game looked awful, funny, and we had a good laugh. But recently, I realized something. Even though I saw that video like hundreds of times, I never actually played Mortyr. So I figured maybe I should give it a try and see if it's really that bad. Yeah, that was my first mistake. Because running this game on a modern PC is a nightmare. I downloaded it, started the installer, didn't work. Oh, here we go. Spent some time looking around when I found a custom installer. That finally worked. Except I couldn't change the resolution. Alright, it seems like I need a modified exe file. Nope. Turns out the English version I had used a different exe size, so that wasn't gonna work at all. After about 3 hours of trial and error, I finally found the right version with the right exe size and got it running, thank God. But that's when I started to reconsider my life choices. I just spent 3 hours trying to play Mortyr, a random Polish game from 1999 that's probably buggy, janky, and just plain bad, when I could be out there playing some of the best video games ever made, like Assassin's Creed Shadows, Mind's Eye. Okay, sorry, I can't even finish this bait sentence. Alright, let's see what Mortyr is actually about. We start the game with a quick intro from the developers, and I swear my heart skipped a beat after all those years playing Counter-Strike. Man, I still hate Mirage.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us.
Anyway, Mortyr opens with a very cinematic intro. Unfortunately, I couldn't upscale it, so please enjoy all the 60 pixels. So the plot is pretty simple. Germany wins World War II and basically extends its empire across the entire planet. No one knows how they did it, but ever since they've been in power, the world's been hit by weird natural disasters and weather changes. And that's all we know so far. Well, unless we read the manual, which I did. Sorry, but I'm actually invested in the story. Turns out the Germans invented a time machine around 1944. And that's how they won the war. But the machine also caused massive environmental damage. So someone has to go back in time and stop them from using it. And that someone ends up being Sebastian Mortyr, the son of Jürgen Mortyr, the scientist who discovered this whole thing. Yeah, instead of going himself, he sends his kid back in time. Father of the year, ladies and gentlemen. I also learned that the game needs at least a Pentium 2 processor and 64 megabytes of RAM to run properly. Dude, I'm so fucking old.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Anyway, after the first cutscene, the game immediately drops us into this weird gameplay demo or something. Oh, that's the menu. Okay, got it. Now, if you ever plan to play this, always choose the first difficulty. Trust me, the game is lying. It says too easy. Yeah, right. I know I sound like a game journalist, but you will see what I mean later on. After that, we jump straight into action. Quite literally. Don't ask me what that splash sound is. Right away, we meet this random soldier just vibing to the chanting. Hey, glad you're enjoying it, dude. The first thing that hit me was the sounds. This game loves random character noises, and they are all incredibly goofy. Now Now, even though I managed to run Mortyr on a proper resolution, it still has a few quirks. Originally, it was meant to be played at 40 frames per second. Yeah. At 60, the game becomes supersonic. But at 40, it feels too choppy for me. So I went with 50 FPS. It's a bit fast, but still watchable, I think. Or I hope, at least. Anyway, we grab our first rifle and medkit, which Mortyr is way too excited about. And apparently the church basement is full of cats. Yeah, maybe it's a Polish thing. Once I made it outside the cathedral though, I was actually surprised. Some areas gave me genuine Half-Life or Gold Source vibes. There is this crunchy snow, the howling wind, the giant moon. It's honestly got that cozy, liminal, late 90s feeling, and I love it. Apparently the game does have a soundtrack, but I couldn't get it to work. But you know, I didn't really mind, because the eerie silence just made it feel even creepier. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to announce we can kick in this game, and it's hilarious. After killing everyone inside and outside the cathedral, we find this giant key, interesting design choice, and move on to the next level. And man, this might be the shiniest floor I've ever seen in a video game. Seriously, I need these guys to do something with my dirty-ass flooring as well. Also, Mortyr has ridiculously awesome glass-breaking physics. I'm pretty sure half of the budget went to that. Gameplay-wise though, it's as basic as it gets. We run around, kill everything that moves, hunt for keys, sometimes different colors, and that's pretty much it. The story is told through these random notes we find, but because of the high resolution, sometimes they are impossible to read. I look like this every time I was reading something. But yeah, no cutscenes, no NPCs, no environmental storytelling, nothing. Which is a shame, because the story has a lot of potential, but piecing it together from these scraps of paper is just underwhelming. Eventually, we hear Mortyr speak for the first time.
Where is everybody?
And yeah, the voice acting is incredible. Unfortunately, he doesn't speak much, but every time he does, I just burst out laughing. I love it, honestly.
Oh, it stinks in here.
Then we can see these epic bird physics, a destroyed tank, and then nothing. Yeah. Which brings me to the other big issue. The game is dark. Like one of the darkest games I've ever played. I'm not joking. And you could say that, hey Kenny, the game has a flashlight. And you're right, it does. But the problem is, it has a timer. So once we turn it on, we can use it for about 1 minute. And that's it. Don't even think about finding another one for a good while. I thought, okay, I will just turn it off and save battery. Haha. Nope. Once it's on, it stays on. No turning back. Genius design. Seriously. Thankfully, this absolute hero on my abandonware saved me. If you crank up the brightness, contrast, and gamma in your NVIDIA panel, Mortyr suddenly becomes playable to normal human beings. Thank you, John Smith from back east. I owe you a beer. Anyway, after some surprisingly nice outdoor sections, including a massive zeppelin,
What do we have here?
we start fighting through the citadel, which means a new weapon, a new enemy type, yeah, we are up to 3 now, believe it or not, and we also get the mandatory dogs, and of course, explosions, that really want me dead. How? Inside the Citadel, we start finding notes about a project called Kronos. That's the time machine. Sorry for the spoiler. And it seems like the project is led by a scientist named Albert. I wonder who that might be. One piece of paper says a soldier destroyed a key time machine component and he must be punished. And later on, we actually hear him getting punished. See, I told you, the game has its moments. And seriously, just look at this cathedral again. For 99, this is really impressive. We even find a note from Albert realizing that Dr. Lieberman, the other scientist, plans to use the time machine for evil. Wow, what a surprise, dude. He mentions something happening on schedule, or is that on Schnitzel? I don't know. Anyway, point is, Lieberman is evil and Albert is worried. That's all you need to know. After a short visit to a creepy crypt with more random cat sounds, we end up in a graveyard. And it's honestly one of my favorite sections in the game. It's dark, moody, and weirdly atmospheric for some reason. Unfortunately, this is also where I finally gave up and listened to John's advice. I had to crank the brightness up. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't take the darkness anymore. Turns out Albert couldn't either, because he broke the quantum receptor into 6 pieces, so the Nazis couldn't use it. And now it's up to us to go and find them. Great. And just as I start complaining about the lighting again, the game is like, here, have some night vision. Yeah, thanks, but I will stick to my Nvidia settings. Eventually, we make it to the high castle and get a warm greeting.
Hello.
Oh, hello to you too! And just like the flashlight, the night vision cannot be turned off either. Perfect, a pleasure for my eyes. Also, let me present you why I said to play on the easiest difficulty. Yeah. And even after killing me, this guy just won't stop. Dude, I'm already dead, just leave me alone, please. Thankfully, we pick up the LMG and we become the monster. Hahaha. This thing absolutely shreds. Trust me, from this point on, this is the only weapon you need. Inside the castle, things get confusing. For some reason, it looks like a Greek temple, and also has a massive statue.
That's a big statue.
Thanks, Mortyr, that's really insightful. We grab the first receptor piece and run into a familiar face. Yeah, you know what? I will do the right thing here. Goodbye, dude. Wait, what? He's invincible? No! After wasting all my ammo on the famous Austrian painter, I had no choice but to fight the LMG guys with my bare hands. Or well, bare feet. After a few minutes of pure suffering, I set my eyes on this beauty. Is that a Panzerfaust? I need to get it. Not like that. Eventually, I nailed the jump and grabbed it. I don't blame you, Mortyr, I'm excited too. Soon we leave the castle and once again get some serious CS 1.6 flashbacks. Tell me this doesn't look like an old Counter-Strike map. The cheap rain sound, the stone buildings, the vibe. I don't know, man, I kinda like it. I feel like I played too many janks lately. Also, I started noticing something. The weapon animations are actually decent. The LMG belt moves when we walk, the rifle loading looks great. The only issue is that we never actually reload the guns. That's a bit underwhelming. Then we find Albert's wanted poster. See, I told you it was that Albert. And start hunting down more receptor pieces, some of which are hidden way too well. In here? Are you kidding me? The next areas look surprisingly good. We get a lovely train station, the mandatory sewer level,
Oh, it stinks in here.
and some of the most nauseating stairs ever made. Oh, and there is a submarine section as well, and I naively thought I could jump on it. Bad idea. In the room next to it, someone's clearly having a great time. And oh boy, this is where we meet the worst enemy in the game, Grenade Guy. He throws grenades like his life depends on it, and because of the higher frame rate, it's an actual nightmare. Though, sometimes he just blows himself up. Thanks for making my life easier, man. And if you thought the Half-Life vibes weren't strong enough, look at this. After blasting through war-torn Germany, which honestly looks kinda nice, I hit yet another issue. Crashes. Apparently, according to John Smith, if you transition to the next level while running, jumping or shooting, it can overwhelm the game engine and cause a crash. Like, how is that even possible, man? So the solution is to load the game before the transition and slowly creep into the next level. Hilarious. I feel like at this point I really need to find this John guy and buy him a proper steak or something. Anyway, after an epic tank fight, we finally reached the time machine.
Looks like a big damn refrigerator.
Please, Mortyr, not now. We make the time jump, which is super underwhelming, by the way.
To infinity and beyond.
And end up back in 2093, or maybe forward? Whatever. I never really understood time travel lingo anyway. For some reason, Mortyr loses all his weapons during the time jump. But don't worry, they are just sitting in a cabinet nearby, like in some kind of museum. Oh yes, the ancient relic known as the Luger. And right next to them we find our first future weapon, which is gigantic. Like, what is that? From this point on, Mortyr basically turns into a completely different game. Goodbye World War II, hello low-budget Cyberpunk, and honestly it's kind of awesome. I don't think I've ever seen a game pull off such a massive setting change. We start off in what I think is a shipyard, and yeah, the gameplay hasn't changed, but instead of fancy keys, we are now looking for these weird floppy disks. Oh come on, we need the old ones back. By the way, we can still use the old World War II weapons, but why would you? The future guns are ridiculously powerful. We get a laser SMG, a pistol that doubles as a rocket launcher, and if you still haven't had enough Counter-Strike flashbacks, there is even an exploding Galil. The enemies also got an upgrade. Now we are fighting laser soldiers, turrets, and these giant walking sentries that feel straight out of Star Wars or something. Oh, and they are super tanky. Even on this difficulty, it takes like 15 rockets to take them out. Unfortunately, you can tell the devs spent less time on these future maps. The eerie cathedrals and crypts are gone, and now it's just endless metal hallways and shiny textures. Okay, I admit, there are a few cool spots, like the futuristic streets with very questionable posters, this giant robot, and the club we cannot even enter. Come on, I just wanted to dance, dude. But yeah, the future section is quite boring. We just kill a sentry, quick save, kill another one, quick save. Oh, and the backtracking gets insane. Earlier levels had a bit of it, sure, but now it's out of control. Most of the times we find a key and have to walk half the level backward to find the door. It's so annoying. Anyway, after destroying a few dozen sentries with my trusty LMG, we reach the final level, a flying fortress. This one ends with a triple boss fight, but thankfully they are surprisingly easy to cheese. Then we blow up some kind of central computer, or AI, or toaster, or I'm not sure, and boom! That's it. Roll credits. Well, no credits. We just get the second cutscene, yes, the second one in the whole game. And then straight back to the menu. Beautiful. So yeah, that was Mortyr. If you're confused, don't worry, because I am too. I kinda lost the plot after the time jump, I'm not gonna lie. Apparently, we didn't fix the problem when we went back to 1944, so we still had to blow up some kind of AI thing or something, I don't know. Someone please explain it to me, because I have no idea what just happened. And now, the big question. What do I think? After finally playing Mortyr more than 18 years after first hearing about it, I have to admit I'm a bit disappointed. I was expecting a hilariously unplayable game, overflowing with buggy mechanics, awful AI, and random ridiculous moments. But surprisingly, that's not exactly the case. Don't get me wrong, Mortyr is not a great game. Far from it. But I think it falls into the same category as a lot of other obscure shooters I've covered. The devs had some genuinely good ideas, but the execution went sideways. Probably because the budget was tiny, or maybe they just ran out of time, or well, both. The story itself actually has potential. A time machine, Nazis, futuristic weapons, it all sounds really good on paper. But the problem is, it's told entirely through random notes. And some of them are so easy to miss that by the end, I had no clue what was going on. As you saw, the gameplay is really basic. And that, combined with the super limited enemy variety, is not exactly exciting. We basically get a maximum of 6 or 7 enemy types the whole game. Yes, including the past and the future. Weapons, on the other hand, actually surprised me. They look fairly decent and the animations are quite solid. I especially like the unique futuristic weapons, those were super fun to use. But the real star for me was the atmosphere. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. Playing Mortyr gave me the same liminal, unsettling but comfortable feeling I get in obscure Half-Life mods or even Half-Life itself. Ugly, low-budget textures, weird sound effects, and the missing soundtrack somehow add to the charm. Some locations like the cathedrals and graveyards are genuinely impressive for 99, but unfortunately the future section completely kills that vibe. Repetitive hallways, bland buildings, and the uninspired level design just destroyed the whole thing. The time switch idea is great, but it feels unfinished. I'm pretty sure they ran out of resources halfway through or something. So, my final verdict. If you played this game back in the day and wanna do a nostalgia trip or something, then go for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not unplayable or horrific, it's just a mediocre shooter. They tried, but unfortunately, just like many other similar games, they ran out of money, time, or probably both and failed. Such a shame. But hey, I have some good news. There is a sequel, Mortyr 2 Forever, and it's actually much better. I would even go as far as to call it good. So yeah, we will dive into that next time. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts about Mortyr. A lot of you guys requested this game, so I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only one who knew about it. And yes, I'm adding all your suggestions to my jank list. And oh boy, it seems like this series will go on for a long time. And if you like this kind of content, please consider dropping a like or subscribing. I would really appreciate it. We also have Patreon and YouTube memberships if you would like to support the channel even more. I would like to say a huge thank you to all the members. Don't forget to join our Discord if you want to have a chat or play some games with us. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.